right, what do we got?
We got Tom MacDonald, Fake Woke. I love this title already. It's been a minute since we've done a Tom MacDonald, no?
Yeah.
I was trying to recap, like, which was the last one we did. The one that I can remember is Angels.
Yeah, I think it was that or No Lives Matter, but I think you're right. I think it was Angels. Yeah, he always has a lot of interesting things to say in his videos.
Yeah. I love that it doesn't seem like they ever take any breaks.
I don't think he takes breaks. Especially when you're doing everything yourself. So even when you're taking breaks, like it's one of those things, you're still doing something.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
I think it's crazy I'm the one who they labeled as controversial, and Cardi B is the role model for 12-year-old girls. There's rappers pushing Xanax at the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gay bash and...
Wow, it's harder to get a job than purchase a gun. Like, that's a huge problem. And I love how like as a society everything is ass backwards and exponentially dumb. Like, I don't think I've ever put those two words together, exponentially dumb.
Yeah.
Even though it makes so much sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with it just because, like, I think as technology continues to advance, which obviously it is and it's going to continue to do so, we as humans become more reliant on technology, which actually makes us dumber because we don't need to memorize. Like we spoke about this before, like we don't need to memorize. We don't need to like depend on our minds as much as we used to. You know, like even to figuring shit out, like you can literally Google YouTube search. Like you don't have to troubleshoot as much as like we used to. You know, and
think about like how that affects our brain. Like you mentioned us not having to memorize anything. Like, we no longer have to use that part of the brain. Right. What's going to happen? It's probably going to shrink.
And it's funny because you would think, like, I mean, then again, like, we have all the information that's in front of us, which is good because, like, we don't have to struggle getting information. Like, we don't have to run to a library. You don't have to ask someone that's an expert at what you're studying, like, because all the information's there in front of you. And it's like this, you couldn't be born in a better age in terms of like learning something because like you have like these online courses that you can take, like all this shit, like just everything's there. But the bad thing is like that's also being used to like manipulate opinions and views because like everything's being pushed in front of our faces in terms of like social media and the internet.
Yeah, there's too much of it.
All right, back to this.
But if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gay bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American. You should probably love it, cause you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world.
Yo.
I love how he references, I think it's a story about how, do you remember the lottery? I think it's the lottery. Mm-hmm. It's a short story about people stoning each other. And I love how he mentioned that because that's exactly what's happening once again.
Yeah. And I like what he said. It's something I've said before that I think no one's actually spoken up about in terms of the rap industry. So I like that Tom mentioned it. Like the fact that like people like Eminem, as much as I like Eminem, like them getting involved in politics, like remember with him, Billie Eilish, mm-hmm. Cardi B was another one,
Lady Gaga,
right? Where like I get it, like if you want to get involved in the political aspect of society, I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think when they're not educated to be that role model, I think it's bad because they have way too much influence to be used as a political puppet.
Yeah.
You know, like not saying like, I don't know, like for all I know, fucking Eminem's like knows as much about politics as he does about rap, but I don't see that to be the case.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that as individuals, we need to do our own research. We shouldn't rely on it. Like regardless of what he believes or what she believes, like you need to do your own research and make your own decision.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You probably love it, cause you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say as homophobic or racist. If you're white, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got Me Too'd or they're rapists. They never freed the slaves, they realized that they don't need to change. They gave us tiny screens, we think we free cause we can't see the cage. They knew that race war would be the game they need to play. For people to big teams, they use the media to feed the flame.
Yo, we need to run that back. I love everything that he says. Like, you can tell he's fucking smart.
Yeah.
And a free thinker.
He's not oblivious to what's going on. No. And I think what it is that he's not afraid to speak up on it. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of rappers that feel that way.
Yeah.
But, like, they're not going to come out and say that because they have too much writing on their labels and whoever they work for, right? Like, as an artist, when you're under a label, you don't work for yourself. Like, there's someone that decides whether you get pushed or not. That's not the case with Tom, so he's able to freely speak. And I think that's the separation between independence in general, not just artists, like independence versus when you're working under somebody. And same thing with news outlets. When you're independently reporting the news, a lot of times you're reporting accuracy, like regardless of people's feelings, because you're not being censored. And that's why conservative media is being restrained in that way, because they don't want it to be something that people gravitate towards. But as independent journalists, like, they're getting more traction because they're able to speak on things that national media wouldn't normally speak on because of the narratives.
Yeah, it takes courage, because I think about his status and like how many followers he has, and he's obviously risking a lot of stuff. And the reason why I say that is because, like, people who aren't even famous are scared to speak up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for him to even do that, I think it's inspiring, because he's risking his image. He's risking everything just to speak up.
Yeah, the way I see it, that is his image. Speaking up is his image. And that's what makes Tom who he is as an artist. Without that portion of Tom, I don't think he would be the same. Like, me personally, I listen to Tom because of that, and only that. Yeah. Because he speaks the themes and facts that most artists will not speak on. Yeah. So I think that's the separation. If you ask me in terms of like how I view Tom and why I think he's different.
Yeah, he points things out that like are obvious, but no one talks about.
Yeah.
Hood heroes got Me Too'd or they're rapists. They never freed the slaves. They realized that they don't need to change. They gave us tiny screens, we think we free cause we can't see the cage. They knew that race war would be the game they need to play. For people to big teams, they use the media to feed the flame.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Safe mode, safe zones. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings.
I think it's crazy how these people screaming facts, but they fake woke. Hate their neighbor cause he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter, but his favorite artist said he slays hoes. Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home. Censorship's an issue cause they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name, when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same. I just want to spend Thanksgiving Day with food and my family, without being accused of celebrating native casualties. We got so divided, it's black and white and political. Republicans are bigots, libtards if you're liberal. There's riots in our streets and it's just getting worse. Y'all screaming deep on the police, y'all are genius for sure. They're underfunded already, they're way too busy to work. Order food and call the cops, see what reaches you first.
I love that. I love the position that he plays, and it's always from a neutral standpoint outside of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're sometimes so caught up in, like, what's going on between, like, both sides that, like, we forget that we need to take a look at the bigger picture and what's going on. And oftentimes, like, they actually overlap each other.
Yeah, especially, like as you know, like with confirmation bias, we always see what we want to see.
Yeah.
Like, we're always looking for ways to to give our opinions and our views some substance, you know. So I think it's good to always look at things from a neutral standpoint, and then you can always make a decision based on that, or like you create a different viewpoint, right? It doesn't always have to be like left or right or black and white. You can look at things from, like as you said, like a holistic approach, and you look at things as a whole.
Yo, that line about, yo, call the cops and call your food, like, see which one comes first.
I don't know.
God.
Food's been coming fast lately.
They're way too busy to work. Order food and call the cops. See what reaches you first. Segregation ended, that's a lie in itself. That was a strategy to make us think they were trying to help. They knew that racism was hot if they designed it to sell. We buy up every single box and divide us ourselves.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings.
We use violence to get peace and wonder why it isn't working. That's like sleeping with a football team to try and be a virgin. Politicians are for sale and someone always makes the purchase. But you and I cannot afford it. Our democracy is worthless. If a man has mental illness, call him crazy. Say it silently. When country's going crazy, we accept it as society. Get sick and take a pill. When the side effects get you high, you get addicted like these rappers dying fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns our children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety. I'll tell you what it really is. Removing information that empowers all the citizens. The truth doesn't damage points of view that are legitimate. They're trying to change amen to amen and women. How'd we let them make praying a...
Yo,
I love that you saw that.
yo, I'm so sure that he watches Ben Shapiro, yo. I feel like a lot of the topics he speaks about, I've heard, like...
Oh my god, this is fucking hilarious. I love that he brings that up. And I wonder if anyone understands, like, what he's referencing. And, like, whether they heard the breakdown of, like, what amen actually means.
Right. Yeah, and... Yeah, like, the whole facts don't care about your feelings. Like... And just, like, trying to abolish the truth, in a sense. You know, like, I get it. I get why, right? Like, I can see both standpoints. But I think, and we spoke about this before, like, you need to have all these viewpoints available to everybody. So, you know, like, I don't care what viewpoint is. I don't like when one viewpoint's being pushed just to get more people on the majority side, just for the sake of having that power, you know, versus just being like, hey, this is a viewpoint. And that's what debates were created for. You know, fundamentally, you got debates for that purpose. You have two sides debating and you find something in the middle and you find that common ground. Or like you have people vote based on the different policies and views of both sides, and then they get the majority. But when you're like actively pushing certain opinions and narratives, and like what he's referring to is like cancel culture, where like everyone who's trying to speak on one side's being canceled, it becomes a very unhealthy and very manipulative tactic. But yeah, he broke down like mad shit in like 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
He basically summed up like what's been going on in just 4 minutes.
Really is removing information that empowers all the citizens. The truth doesn't damage points of view that are legitimate. They're trying to change amen to amen and women. How'd we let them make praying a microaggression? Instead of asking God for the strength to keep winning, we cheat to get ahead and then we ask him for forgiveness. Feminism used to be the most righteous of fights, but these days it feels like they secretly hate guys. I don't trust anyone who bleeds for a week and don't die. Just kidding, but everything else that I said is right.
They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Yo.
I love the feeling that I get every time I listen to his music, and it's very internal. He makes me think about like my choices, and he makes me just be very introspective versus like some other songs that maybe ignite hate, for instance, or ignite some other feeling that draws you away from something else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just makes me very self-reflective.
Yeah, I like the approach because like I think about essentially the message he's trying to spread, right? And like other people do this in like a podcast format or whether it's just posting something online, whether it's like an article, right? Like there's different ways of spreading information is my point. So you have him taking the music approach to the way he's trying to spread the same information that's on podcasts and articles that maybe a lot of people wouldn't normally hear or read or watch. So like by becoming that music voice, he's reaching a lot of people that wouldn't hear about these views at least, you know. So I like it.
Yeah,
I like the message a lot.
It's very creative. Like what you said, like you do see these topics and articles and stuff like that, but to hear it coming from someone's actual mouth and done in like such a creative way through like the video and like just like rapping it out, I feel like it's just more sticky.
Yeah.
Like the idea is very it's solid.
Yeah, I agree.
Meow.